Today we're excited to start putting the kitchen together. I've never built a kitchen from the ground up before, but I have installed cabinets and countertops in the past, so we decided to go ahead and tackle this ourselves. But how did we get to that conclusion? Well, we needed a kitchen in the tiny home, also needed to stay within a budget. So we contacted a local cabinet shop to get them to quote building and installing the cabinets, which they came back at around $6,000. Now that doesn't include countertops, and it's already outside of our budget. So we went down to Barton Home Center and we picked up the cabinets, lowers and uppers, and the countertops, all for under $2,000. Now these are unfinished oak cabinets, so we will have to paint and stain the countertops to get a nice finished product. Now when we were installing the cabinets, I had one little mistake when I was installing the lowers, and we made it work, but we could have saved a lot of time by drawing a straight line on the wall and mounting the cabinets directly to it. However, we started with the cabinets on the floor and kept shimming them up until everything was level, and by the time we got done, some of the cabinets were almost an inch off the ground. So we did waste a lot of time going the method that we did. So keep that in mind if you're ever installing cabinets. It could save you a lot of time. Now that the cabinets are installed, it was time to paint them. We had a lot of deliberation on what color to paint them, and my friend Aaron, that is living in the house currently, decided that he wanted to go with an emerald green paint. I'm not a big fan of painted cabinets. It makes it feel kind of cheap and trailer-like to me personally, and I've always liked to stain cabinets in the past. But it's what he wanted, and so we painted the cabinets green, and honestly, it came out really good. I was super impressed with the finished product, especially how it accented with the butcher block countertops. So once we got the cabinets painted, it was time to unwrap the butcher block countertops and get them ready for install. One thing that I'm very passionate about is educating people on ways that they can be more self-sufficient and save themselves money in a lot of different aspects of life. When my best friend slash producer and I started making YouTube videos back in 2019, we started out with Dude, We Can Fix It. And that's an automotive channel that's based on educating people on how to fix their cars and save money from having to go to an automotive shop and spend hundreds of dollars an hour for labor on their vehicles. And over time, we have evolved away from the automotive fix-it sector into the home construction and renovation sector. And we opened up the Dude, We Can Build It channel. And our goal here is to educate people on how they can save money when they're doing home renovation projects, installing cabinets, or even building an entire house. If you would like to support our channel for free, all you got to do is subscribe, like the video, and leave us a comment, and that helps out tremendously. Now, if you would like to contribute directly to the channel, check out our apparel line below. We got caps, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and if there's something not there that you would like, comment below and tell us what it is, and we'll have it uploaded to the website so you can purchase that. If you do get some clothing from us, make sure you go build something, and make sure you take a picture while you're building it in your shirt and tag it on our Instagram at hashtag #DudeWeCanBuildIt so that we can show off all the people that are supporting our channel. Now let's get back to the project at hand. As you can see, I'm using a circular saw to cut out for the sink, and the circular saw obviously only cuts in straight lines, so I'm going to come back with the jigsaw to round out the corners. Now on this in particular, I took my time because I wanted to use the middle section of where the sink cutout is to potentially build a cutting board. So I wanted to make sure the corners were pretty well rounded, and we might show that off in a future video, but just in case you wanted to know, the cutting board is pretty awesome. Now the only other cut that we have to make on this countertop is we need to cut this board almost exactly in half. That way we can have a slab on either side of where the stove's gonna go. Now that we have all the countertops cut to size, it's time to go ahead and figure out what kind of stain we're going to use. So I went to Sherwin-Williams and I picked up about 6 different stains and took an inconspicuous piece of wood and put a little bit of stain on each piece and let it dry, and decided that we really liked the special walnut stain. Now there's a little process that goes into staining wood, especially like cabinet wood or countertop wood. So the first step is you're going to want to clean it really good, get any kind of dust, dirt, and debris completely off of it, and then once it's clean and dry, you're going to take some pre-stain and wipe the whole surface down with that. And what that does is it allows the wood to soak up the stain more uniformly all the way across the surface. Now once you got your pre-stain treatment done, you'll take your stain with a rag and you'll just lather it on there nice and thick, and then come back and soak up all the excess maybe 30 seconds later. Once the first coat of stain has dried, you can see what color it has put into the wood, and if you want it a little bit darker or richer, you can always put a second or even a third coat of stain on it. Just remember that when you put the clear coat on and everything's set and done, it is going to look a little bit different. If you're really concerned about this, you could take a spare piece of wood and you could go through the entire staining process with 1 coat, 2 coats, and 3 coats, and then a coat of clear over the entire thing and let it sit up for a day, and that'll give you a really good idea of how the finished product is going to look before you go ahead and stain the entire project, because once you do that, you can't undo that. I only used 1 coat of stain because I really liked how it looked after just 1 coat, and I didn't want it to be any darker because we already have sort of the dark green emerald painted cabinets, so I wanted a lighter shade of countertop to accent that. Now, because I have a seam between 2 of the butcher block slabs, I went ahead and installed the butcher block in place on the cabinet, bumped it up to the walls, and attached screws from underneath to hold it in place. That way, as I'm putting the urethane clear coat on, it can seal that crack in between where the 2 pieces of butcher block countertop meet up, and that will prevent fluids and liquids from seeping down in between the 2 sections. Now, if I just had 1 solid slab, it would be a whole lot easier just to stain and then seal this all the way around before pushing it up against the wall. But since I pushed it up against the wall, I had to use a little bit of blue tape to keep the clear coat from also adhering to the plywood wall behind where the countertops are. Since this is a countertop and I want this surface to be very thick and durable, I ended up putting 3 coats of the spar urethane on. And there's a little bit of a process to layering coats of urethane on top of each other. Once you put the first coat on, you got to let it set and dry, and then come back with a really fine grit sandpaper. I believe I used 400 grit, and then clean it off, and that will lightly scratch the surface so that the next coat of urethane has something to stick to instead of a nice slick surface where it's going to have a hard time adhering. So you use the sandpaper and you just lightly rough up the surface, then make sure you clean it off really good to get those particles out, and then you put the next coat, and you just keep layering these coats until it's thick and durable enough for whatever you're going to use it for. now that the cabinets and countertops are complete, it's time to move on to finishing a few other details in the kitchen. Being that this is going in a tiny house and we need to conserve a lot of space, we decided instead of doing a separate hood vent and then a microwave nook, or just having the microwave on the counter, we're going to do a microwave hood vent combo, which I generally call a micro vent. I'm not a big fan of these because if you own a microwave, it's really easy to just pull out a standalone microwave, unplug it and throw it in the trash and then go get a new one and put it back in. However, if you have one of these microwave vents installed over your stove, there is an installation process in order to take the old one down and put the new one up, and also they're much more expensive than just buying a microwave. However, there is a huge convenience and space saving associated with having your microwave and your vent all in one. Now with these micro vents, you can either have them recirculate through a charcoal filter inside of the vent part of it, or you can even have it exhaust outside of the building. Obviously, exhausting outside of the building is generally the preferred option. That way you can get all that smoke and steam and grease and food particulates outside of the building. We didn't do that in this case. We just used the charcoal filters because I was being lazy. To complete installing the sink, we went and got a bronze all-in-one fixture. We chose bronze because all the other fixtures in the house are bronze. That's like all the stuff for the shower, all the door handles and latches in the house. Everything is bronze themed. So of course we got a bronze faucet for the kitchen sink. It's an all-in-one. I think those look really good. They're more modern than the ones that have the separate handles on the sides. And then we installed the sink for the first time and it fit perfect. Just kidding, I definitely test fit it before I stained and sealed all the countertops. Anyway, sink looks great, faucet looks great, and now it's time to mention the backsplash. We didn't record the actual installation of the backsplash because we suck and we dropped the ball. However, it came out really good. I didn't actually install the backsplash myself. My buddy Aaron, who is the guy that's going to be living in this house, he's the one that put the backsplash on, and he's not a mason by trade. However, it still came out really good. The only thing we have left to complete this kitchen is installing the appliances. Since we have a Samsung microwave vent combo, it only made sense to get a matching Samsung stove as well. What's cool with the stove is that it's also an air fryer, and not only that, it's also Wi-Fi enabled. I don't really know why you would need that, but it's pretty cool anyway. The last appliance that we're going to install is the refrigerator, and this is a used refrigerator. We didn't pay anything for it. Aaron already had it at his old house, and it's black, so it pretty much matches the other stainless and black appliances that we have here. Now, obviously, this is something that could easily be upgraded in the future, but there's no need to do it right now. It works, and it looks good in the entire kitchen setup. So now the entire kitchen is complete, and everything you see here only cost $3,500. We spent $1,900 on the cabinets and countertops, about $250 on the paint and stain sealer for the cabinets and countertops, $250 for the microwave vent, $750 for the stove, $200 for the faucet. We already had the sink and we already had the refrigerator, and then we spent about $200 getting the tile and grout for the backsplash. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. Make sure to like and subscribe on your way out, and we'll see you on the next project.